Amara Bala's return flight from Accra touched down in Lagos just after sunset, the horizon awash in violet gold haze that matched the quiet excitement thrumming in her chest. 31 straight days filming endangered cocoa farming communities had left her smelling of red earth and camera batteries, and she was desperate to feel the unvarnished wooden floorboards of the duplex she'd shared with Jonas for 4 years. In her head she replayed the surprise, Jonas's grin when she produced the carved Ashanti stool she'd haggled for in Kajisha Market, the laughter when she told him the network wanted a full series. The airport taxi dropped her at the familiar wrought iron gate. Same white hibiscus hedge, same cracked pavement, yet the gate stood ajar, and the usually dormant driveway bulged with boxes, a child's inflatable pool, and neon green crocs she'd never seen. Voices drifted from inside, 2 women laughing, accompanied by the squeak bang of furniture being shifted. Steeling herself, Amara slid her key into the lock. A stranger in a bright headwrap swung the door wide. "Can I help you?" "I live here," Amara answered, heartbeat hitching. The woman exchanged a glance with another mover hefting a floor lamp. "Jonas told us the place was vacated," she said carefully. "He said his wife moved out weeks ago." The sentence struck like a blunt instrument. Amara's documentarian mind catalogued details in rapid shots: newly painted turquoise hallway, missing Zanzibar photo, driftwood coat rack Jonas would have loved. Her name, stenciled on a packing box, had been brashly X'd out with black paint. She forced a smile so calm it unsettled even her. "Of course," she murmured, stepping aside for the movers, her questions sheathed for now. Inside the doorway lay detonations she wasn't ready to trigger. She retreated to the porch, watching her erased life carried past her like props from an abandoned set. Still clutching her keys, Amara re-entered. The house smelled of sandalwood and fresh paint instead of Jonas's cedar cologne. Every photo of Lake Nakura flamingos and that midnight Abuja proposal was gone, replaced by minimalist art she'd never pick. On the mantel sat a single-framed picture, Jonas, smiling, arm around Rina Udo, Amara's best friend since freshman year. Footsteps padded behind her. "Oh, you're here already?" Rina's voice floated down the staircase, bare feet, distressed jeans, and on her ankle Amara's silver chain, a gift Jonas had once saved months to buy. "Flight schedules change," Amara replied, words tasting of rust. "Where's Jonas?" "Meeting the estate agent," Rina said, forcing a bright tone. "We're finalizing paperwork." "You've been gone a long time." "Things evolved." "And my things?" "Storage," Rina shrugged. "Jonas said you requested it." Shock scraped Amara's throat raw, yet her face remained preternaturally still. "Observe, gather, then act," her mentor's mantra whispered. She restored the photo with surgical precision, inhaled betrayal, and said only, "Evolution." Then she walked out. Suitcase wheels rattling on the porch board sounded like chains snapping free. Under a lone street lamp, Rina called, "Amara, wait." Amara turned, lips forming a tranquil, terrifying crescent that cut through excuses and onlookers alike. A passerby paused, phone half-raised, sensing a viral clip before it was born. "There's nothing left to discuss," Amara said, velvet-voiced. "Enjoy the house. It carries echoes. You'll hear them," she added, eyes glinting. "Every night." She wheeled away. Jonas's name flashed on her screen. "Amara, we should talk, things have changed." "I don't need explanations," she replied. "I need distance." "Where will you go?" "Someplace you can't erase." Inside the cab she ignored his follow-up text, a photo of a key captioned "We can start over." She saved it to a secure folder labeled "For Court." The driver tuned to a late-night talk show where callers debated betrayal. A woman sobbed about a fiancé who sold their land. Grief, Amara realized, was Lagos's communal currency, traded nightly over the airwaves. Journal app open, she typed chapter 1, erasure. Words formed like storm clouds. By the time the taxi reached the mainland motel, the seed of a podcast, Erased Women, had sprouted in her mind. Palm View Lodge smelled of lemon disinfectant and cheap optimism. Room 12 faced an alley cluttered with plastic crates and frying plantain smoke. Perfect, anonymous, untraceable. Amara dove into bank statements, joint funds, frozen, personal savings, intact. She siphoned money into a fresh digital wallet under the alias of Fani O, freedom measured in blinking zeros. Then she drafted a manifesto titled Rules for My Resurrection. 1. Let strategy, not rage, hold the pen. 2. Never beg to stay in rooms that shrink you. 3. Turn every bruise into narrative gold. A knock startled her. Through the peephole stood elderly Mrs. Kalu, wrapped in vibrant Ankara. Amara unlatched the chain. I couldn't let them silence you, the neighbor whispered, pressing photos into her hand, movers boxing Amara's life, Jonas kissing Rina, a receipt for an off-grid storage unit. You risked a lot, Amara breathed. I raised 6 daughters, Mrs. Kalu shrugged. We passed the torch, not of pain, but of power. Do what you must. Alone, Amara left, quiet, astonished, at how betrayal tried to bury her yet handed her the shovel to dig out. She recorded a voice note, we are not stains to be scrubbed. We are ink that seeps back through paint. She saved it as episode 0, ink beneath paint. Sunlight sliced the room into gold and shadow. Reviewing Mrs. Kalu's photos, one detail snagged Amara, a clipboard entry, blue trunk, journals and contracts. That trunk contained release forms, diaries, and the original partnership documents for Jonas and BORRAH Realty. Years of her life reduced to bullet points in a mover's scrawl. She called Ade, her lawyer brother. Freeze the company assets, she said. Consider it done, he answered. Ghosts are hard to hunt. Scrolling Jonas's feed, she found a smug selfie of him and Rina captioned New Beginnings. Screenshot, evidence. A rap at the door, Mrs. Kalu again, delivering pepper soup. Revenge requires strength, she said. Why help me? Amara asked. My first husband hosted another woman in my kitchen, the elder replied. I left with only my sewing machine. Took years to rebuild. Share the torch, child. Tears finally gathered but did not fall. By evening Ade texted, court date set. 2 weeks. Adrenaline buzzed. Amara uploaded a teaser to a brand new Insta handle, a black screen, her voice over a heartbeat. Imagine giving someone the keys to your kingdom and watching them change the locks. Imagine forging a master key instead. Within hours, 20,000 views. Needing air, she climbed to the motel rooftop, a strip of concrete choked by satellite dishes. Lagos glowed beneath her, an ocean of headlights and humid ambition. Phone camera rolling, she whispered, Lagos never sleeps, and neither will the truth. A text pinged from an unknown number, you've been busy. Delete. In the cafe downstairs she ordered the cheapest red wine, dropped her wedding ring in, watched it sink like a dying star. Lifting the glass to her reflection, morning and magnificent, she drank until metal kissed her lips. Night stretched ahead like unedited footage, but Amara no longer feared the dark. Somewhere, Jonas would soon wake to a legal summons, and Rina would learn a borrowed life chafes. In room 12 a single lamp glowed over Amara's laptop as she recorded her closing line for episode 1. When you erase a woman, be ready for the blank space to roar. She pressed save, closed her eyes, and finally slept, not as a victim, but as the author of the story everyone would soon binge. Night in Lagos is rarely quiet, yet room 12 at Palmview felt smothered by the hush that follows a decision. Amara stood barefoot on the peeling linoleum, wedding ring balanced on her palm like evidence in a trial only she could judge. Amara, a ring is a promise forged from heat. So is a blade. She scrolled to a blank page in her journal, titled it Eulogies for Things That Tried to Own Me, and wrote. 1. Your resignation letter from my soul is accepted. Effective immediately. 2. I rescind the role of victim, it never fit. Downstairs, the lobby bar was empty except for a lone ceiling fan that clacked like a metronome. She ordered the cheapest red wine, heavy, sweet, slightly metallic even before the ring sank. Watching gold swirl through crimson, she rehearsed the moment aloud. Amara, to bartender, ever put closure in a glass? Bartender, raising a brow, sis, I just pour. Amara, smiling, then pour liberation. She paused, then dropped the ring. It hit the liquid with the softest plink, an unceremonious end to vows once shouted beneath a cathedral's echo. Amara tipped the glass, gulped everything. Cold metal grazed her teeth. She did not choke, she swallowed, as if ingesting a relic to annul it. Upstairs again, bile and bravery roared in her throat, but she opened the voice note app and pressed record. Amara, whisper, you don't beg to be loved, you declare yourself ungovernable. She posted the 8-second clip to a fresh burner TikTok. By dawn, 74,000 strangers had liked it, most tagging the same word, volcano. Monday, 6:03 a.m. The motel hallway glowed sterile white as Amara strode out, face hidden beneath a straw fedora and oversized aviators. At reception she slid a note across the desk, no name, only thank you for the silence. Lugging 2 duffels, she melted into a waiting e-hailing cab. Driver, glancing back, island or mainland, auntie? Amara, nowhere on any map. In the backseat she toggled on a data scrubbing app that erased her primary SIM. Then she logged into the joint bank portal. Jonas's frantic withdrawals had triggered a fraud flag she'd secretly set months earlier. Every attempt above 200,000 Nigerian nairas now required her thumbprint. With 3 taps she moved 11 million Nigerian nairas into an account under the alias Chinelo A Orgy. Last step, social media. She deleted every profile, but first replaced her avatars with plain black squares captioned, "Erasure complete." New story loading. As the car wove through morning traffic, radio pundits debated an anonymous rant that had surfaced overnight, her clip. Collins crackled, "Now who be this woman way swallow ring? Whoever she is, she's my patron saint." She smiled. When the cab stopped at Yaba Bus Depot, Amara slipped into the crowd, switched duffels, and boarded an interstate coach to Abuja, only to hop off 2 stops later at Ojoda. Jonas's private investigator would track her to the wrong city by noon. Under a rusting pedestrian bridge she met Ade, whose law firm ID had been swapped for a faded college hoodie. Ade, hugging her, sis, you're trending. Amara, deadpan fame is cheaper than dignity. How's the asset freeze? Ade, filed. Court date set for the 23rd, Jonas can't touch a kobo. Amara, perfect. Now I disappear long enough for him to feel the silence. He handed her a crisp passport under the name Ifeoma Kemi Balogun. Ade, soft, don't vanish so thoroughly you can't be found by the ones who love you. Amara, I'll send coordinates in constellations. You just have to know where to look. Before dawn's first buses restarted, Amara was gone, her digital shadow drifting offline, her physical form gliding toward rebirth. 3 weeks later, in an unmarked co-working loft above a tailoring shop in Suralere, a red-on-air bulb bathed Amara's new world in electric promise. She'd rented the space under Ifeoma's name, 1 month, cash. The room was bare save for acoustic panels, a ring light, and a matte black microphone that gleamed like a confession booth. Amara, testing levels, mic check 1, mic check free. Laughs softly. Welcome to Erased Women. Her first episode, Ink Beneath Paint, unfolded in measured cadence, how a lifetime can vanish while you're busy making one for others, how silence is sometimes the loudest weapon. Outside the booth, Emeka Obi, an old friend turned venture capital darling, leaned in the doorway. 6'2", linen trousers, and the amused eyes of someone who can smell disruption. Emeka, podcasts are noisy, this feels seismic. Amara, ghosts make the best storytellers. We've seen everything. Emeka, grinning, let's make the world hear you. He offered free hosting on his Media Accelerator servers, plus marketing muscle. She countered, equity split, 70-30. I keep 70. He laughed, shook, sealed. The episode dropped at midnight. By breakfast, Erased Women ranked number 4 on Apple Nigeria. By lunch, an email pinged. from TEDx Lagos. Subject: Your silence speaks volumes, come shout. Amara stared at the screen. A ghost just got an invitation to haunt the stage. Success triggered aftershocks. Email inboxes fizzed with survivor stories, wives hidden behind curtains of respectability, girlfriends gaslit into believing they were crazy. At 3 a.m., Amara recorded episode 2, Blueprint for Survival. She spoke in second person, turning advice into intimacy. Amara, into mic you will think your life's rubble is useless. It isn't. Rubble is just unassembled monuments. 32 minutes later, she ended with, when you walk away, walk like your shadow has a crown. Mic off, she exhaled, throat raw. Analytics refreshed, 1.2 million downloads in 48 hours. Brands offered sponsorship, ethical clothing lines, mental health apps, a bank's women-focused arm. Amara rejected most, accepted 2. 1. She builds a micro-grant program for female entrepreneurs. 2. Veil Cosmetics, but only if they funded shelters for women leaving toxic homes. Influencers clipped her one-liners into TikTok sound bites. The Ring in Wine clip became a meme overlaying everything from breakup dances to cooking fails. Yet for Amara the virality felt clinical, like watching fireworks through soundproof glass. One dusk, she slipped into Balagan Market wearing a plain abaya and purchased a single-leaf gold necklace, not flashy, but deliberate. She pressed the pendant to her sternum. Amara whispered, "This is armor that looks like jewelry." She filmed the purchase on her phone, 5 silent seconds, and posted it caption-free. Followers wrote essays about reclaiming adornment after abuse. Amara read each, heart-heavy, then recorded episode 3, Adornment and Aftermath. Somewhere on Lagos Island, Jonas scrolled the same feeds, every ping a reminder that the woman he tried to delete now lived in a better-lit world than he ever would. Legal fireworks ignited on a torrid Thursday. Ade served Jonas with a notice of injunction and asset freeze outside the glass atrium of Jonas and BORRAH Realty. Cameras clicked, shareholders murmured like bees around a smoking hive. Reporter, Mr. Jonas Bala, rumor is your wife still holds 40% of this company. Is that true? Jonas, forcing a grin, my wife has chosen a new life. She's welcome to her hobbies. Ade, stepping forward, voice like steel, her business interests are not hobbies. Across town, Amara sat in Emika's convertible, streaming the press scrum. She sipped chilled Zobo, unbothered by the humidity frizzing her curls. Emika, sweet justice tastes like hibiscus? Amara, smiles and ginger, burns on the way down. Emika parked outside High Court, Igbosir. In the marble foyer, investors confronted Jonas, waving termination clauses. He spotted Ade and hissed, "Where is she?" Ade, "Come everywhere you can't reach." Court session, Judge Anyora, stoic, silver brows, reviewed paperwork. Judge, Mr. Bala, your spouse's signature appears on foundational contracts. Jonas, she relinquished her role verbally. Judge, we litigate documents, not bedtime stories. Motion granted, 45-day freeze on assets pending settlement. Jonas's shoulders sagged as though gravity had doubled. Rena, clutching a designer tote clearly paid for with company funds, turned pale. Amara did not attend. Instead, she uploaded a black and white photo of Lagos skyline at dawn, captioned, "A sunrise doesn't ask the night's permission." Within an hour, "Sunrise doesn't ask" trended third nationwide. Back at Jonas's office, bank alerts chimed like funeral bells, company credit cards suspended, payroll halted. Employees packed personal items into cardboard boxes. Rena attempted to console Jonas, but he yanked his tie loose and shouted, "She's ruining me." Rena, voice quivering, "She's reclaiming what was hers. There's a difference." By evening, bloggers had excavated the truth, Amara's 40% stake, her documentary accolades, her sudden online rebirth. Headlines screamed, "Erased wife becomes voice of millions." Investors yanked 420 million Nigerian nairas in pledges overnight. Stock price of their planned IPO, already shaky, crashed 28%. Ade texted Amara, Phase 1 complete. Amara replied with a single volcano emoji. But Chapter 10's true climax unfolded privately. Jonas found himself locked out of the estate agent portal for their home. IT systems auto-rerouted passwords to the 40% majority shareholder, Amara. Panic dialing her old number triggered voicemail. Recording, if this is about keys, I changed the locks and the doors. He hurled the phone across the room, it shattered beside a framed photo of him and Rena. Cracks spiderwebbed both glass and his once flawless self-image. Amara's vanishing has become an empire-wide eclipse. Jonas feels the chill of darkness, Rena watches the sun she stole rise elsewhere, and audiences, hooked by every cliffhanger, are already refreshing feeds for the next eruption. Humidity clung to the curtains of Amara's former bedroom like guilt that wouldn't dry. Rena Udo sat cross-legged on the hardwood, surrounded by boxes Jonas had never bothered to finish unpacking. Her manicured fingers trembled as she pried open a battered blue trunk she'd found in the garage. Blue trunk, journals and contracts, the label read. Inside lay thick leather notebooks, brittle film set call sheets, and, on top, a wedding program booklet with Amara's smiling face. The sight stunned more than Rena expected. Rena, whisper, to herself, you always documented everything, Mara. Even the parts one tried to take. She flipped a journal open at random. Day 212 of marriage, Jonas sold the last of his stocks to fund my documentary. He says he believes in me more than in dividends. I believe him. I also believe love is a currency that appreciates. Rena's pulse spiked. He believed in her? She remembered Jonas's new nightly ritual, scrolling Amara's viral clips, face half soft with something like longing. Footsteps thundered downstairs, Jonas bellowed her name. She hid the journal under her blouse just as he burst in, sweat darkening his collar. Jonas, wild-eyed, the bank wants collateral. They think I forged Amara's signature on the IPO docs. Rena, did you? Jonas, it's complicated. Rena, edge in her voice, complicated like evicting your wife without telling me first? He ignored the jab, eyes darting around the room. Have you seen the trunk with our contracts? Rena, steady hour? You mean hers. Jonas's jaw clenched. Rena realized the metamorphosis had begun, the glamorous mistress role was molting into caretaker of a man unraveling. In her pocket the journal pressed against her ribs, a heartbeat not her own. When Jonas stormed out, Rena read more, pages of Amara's meticulous shorthand, mapping ideas for shelters, budgets, and prenup contingencies Jonas had dismissed as unromantic. Each revelation rewired Rena's sense of the woman she'd betrayed. That night, unable to sleep, she recorded a voice memo. Rena, tearful Mara, I thought you were an obstacle. Now I see you were foundation. I'm living in the house you built, and it is crumbling. Her thumb hovered over send. Instead, she saved it to drafts, crawled into Amara's side of the bed, and stared at the ceiling until dawn, wondering if a stolen life could ever feel like home. By Thursday, the Lagos Daily splashed a headline large enough to punch Jonas in the gut at every newsstand: Real Estate King Without a Castle, BORRAH Empire on Ice. Camera crews lined the boulevard outside the company's glass tower. Jonas, flanked by two junior lawyers, shoved through the gauntlet. Microphones jabbed like accusations. Reporter, sir, investors say nearly 500 million Nigerian nairas vanished. Comment? Jonas, through clenched teeth, assets are temporarily in flux. Inside his office, screens blinked red, project halts, escrow holds, vendors demanding advance payment. HR pinged, 30 resignations since the freeze. Worst, anonymous social clips spliced his old motivational speeches with Amara's viral quotes, painting him a hypocrite in 30-second bursts. Jonas, slamming desk, copyright strike them all. IT manager, meek their user remixes. Fair use. He pivoted to his window view, only to see a billboard truck circle the block, LED display looping Amara's tagline, "You erased me." I became unforgettable. Investors leaving the tower saw it too. Panicked, Jonas dialed Rena. She didn't pick up. She was at a cafe reading Amara's journals, tears streaking yesterday's eyeliner. Afternoon heat simmered when Jonas's phone rang, unknown caller. He snatched it. Voice, calm, male Mr. Bala, we represent a consortium reconsidering your loan. Unless Ms. Bala's stake is resolved, our 320 million Nigerian Nairas facility is dead. 24 hours. The line clicked dead. Jonas hurled the phone. Shards skittered across the floor, joining piles of unpaid invoices. He fell into his leather chair, head in hands, as shots of camera shutters outside echoed like distant gunfire. Sun filtered through stained glass at Freedom Church Hall, repurposed for TEDx Lagos. Rows of red letters spelled EDT behind the stage, because the final X bulb refused to light. Someone whispered it was fitting, an unfinished letter for a talk about erasure. Backstage, Amara, hair cropped shorter, wore a simple ivory jumpsuit and a lapel mic spotlights cut diamond shapes across her cheekbones. Emeka straightened her collar. Emeka, quiet, ready to haunt the world? Amara, inhale, exhale, ready to lift the veil. The MC introduced, a storyteller who turned silence into a megaphone. Please welcome I.K. Balogun. She stepped out. House lights dimmed, a single follow spot lit her like a secret. Gasps rustled. Amara, steady, they say stories live forever. I say erasers just sharpen the outline. Slides flickered, stock photos of empty bedrooms, a glass of wine, a ring sinking. She paced, voice rising. I was told, move on, disappear, start over. So I did. But I took the map. She snapped fingers, screens behind her morphed into an infographic of shelters funded by She Builds, each dot pulsing across Nigeria. Applause swelled. Mid-speech, Jonas watched the live stream alone in his dark living room. At Amara's line, you erased me from your life, but I became unforgettable. The comment feed exploded. View count ticked from 9.8 M to 10.1 M in seconds. Jonas whispered, enough, but the algorithm had no mercy. Back on stage, Amara closed. To anyone erased, may your silence become a pen. May your departure be a debut. She bowed. Standing ovation. Cameras flashed like supernovas. Backstage, tears blurred her vision until Emeka enveloped her in a hug neither could articulate. Mosquitoes buzzed outside the cracked kitchen window as Rena reheated watery ogbono soup, dinner for a man pacing the hallway like a trapped dog. Jonas's tie lay discarded on the counter beside a notice of pending criminal inquiry for securities fraud. Rena, softly eat something. Jonas, snaps, food won't fix insolvency. She stared, remembering the first time he'd flirted with her over suya and rooftop cocktails, suave, generous. The man before her was grizzled, vibrating with anger. On impulse she reached for his hand, he yanked away, muttering, should have chosen better. A pin dropped in her chest. So he regrets even me. Rena retrieved Amara's journal page she'd folded into her wallet. She read aloud. Legacy over love. Love over ego. Ego over nothing. Jonas scoffed. More of her self-help rubbish? Rena, tears steady, it's a compass, one you never had. She walked to the bedroom, slugged her half-packed suitcase onto the bed. Jonas's voice followed like a siren, you'll leave me too? Rena, turns, eyes blazing, I didn't become Amara, Jonas. I became disposable, like you taught me. He flinched. Rena zipped the case, dropped her house key on the dresser, and whispered words meant more for herself than him. I never knew what she meant to you until I became you. Door shut, echoing through the hallway. In the taxi, she finally hit send on the drafted voice note to Amara. Then she blocked Jonas's number and stared at the city lights rushing by like missed chances. The letters began as an idea scribbled on Jonas's whiskey-stained legal pad at 2 a.m., apologize. Beg. Win her back equals investor confidence. By morning, he bought cream stationery embossed with the company crest, sleek contrition packaged like luxury branding. Letter 1, Dear Amara, I was lost without your light. He spritzed it with her favorite sandalwood fragrance, unaware she now preferred citrus. Courier returned the envelope, recipient unknown. He tried again, addressing it to I. K. Balagan, care of Erased Women podcast. It came back stamped refused. Emails bounced. Flowers wilted in reception areas Amara never visited. Each rejection chipped his bravado. Investor calls went unanswered. One afternoon he stalked out to the balcony, gaze drifting 18 floors down. A lump formed in his throat, equal parts fear and self-pity. Meanwhile, Amara sat in a sunlit studio, sifting fan mail with Ade. Among dozens of lavender envelopes lay Jonas's third letter, forwarded accidentally by a courier who hadn't gotten the memo. Ade handed it over. Ade, dry, you want the honors? Amara, without malice, I don't go back to the fire I walked out of. She slipped the letter, unopened, into a shredder. The metallic were felt anticlimactic, then liberating. She turned to the mic, clicked record. Amara, some flames scorch, others illuminate. Choose which one you are to yourself. Episode 4, Letters to Nowhere, dropped that night. Listeners spliced her fire quote over slow-motion videos of people quitting toxic jobs, finishing chemo, leaving airports. Within 24 hours it ranked 2 global on Spotify motivation. Jonas watched his apology trend, not as redemption but as punchline. Rage curdled to despair. He drafted letter 4 by hand, ink smearing under sweaty palms. You gave me freedom in the ugliest way. I used it beautifully. Her goodbye line, thrown back in hopes of resonance. He sealed it, addressed it, then stared at the envelope for a long time before tearing it in half. 2 perfect pieces fluttered into his trash can atop unpaid bills and wilted petals. Across town, Amara closed her laptop, rubbed her temples. A notification lit her phone, Rena's voice note. She pressed play. Rena, voice trembling, I became you to understand you. I'm sorry. I'm leaving him. I hope apologizing doesn't add weight to your day. Be free. Amara listened twice, then deleted it, no anger, just a soft exhale, like releasing a bird that wouldn't survive captivity anyway. She wrote a single-sentence email, subject line blank, addressed to Jonas's public inbox. Body, you don't heal in the house that wounded you. No signature. She hit send. Immediately blocked the address. That night, Lagos skies erupted in a July thunderstorm. Rain hammered Jonas's balcony, wind scattering remnants of letter 4 across the marble tiles. He watched paper curl and soggy ink bleed, a Rorschach of regrets. Miles away, Amara sipped mint tea in her studio lit by warm Edison bulbs, blueprinting the Amara Bala Foundation with Ade. The thunder sounded like applause muted by glass. Amara, soft, almost a prayer, legacy over love. Ade nodded, drafting mission statements. Outside, lightning stitched silver veins through the clouds, foretelling eruptions still to come. Jonas, assets frozen, allies fleeing, apologies unanswered. Rena, gone, carrying guilt and a journal's worth of inconvenient truth. Amara, TEDx sensation, podcast juggernaut, foundation in motion. Viewers are now primed for the crescendo of chapters 16, 20, where Amara's legacy ignites, Jonas watches from exile, and a single goodbye email detonates a final twist. Just say the word, and I'll dive into the volcanic finale. 2 months after her TEDx talk, Amara stood in a sun-drenched hall in Lekki Phase 1. Around her, women arranged chairs, tested microphones, and rehearsed speeches. Banners stretched across the walls. The Amara Bala Foundation, for women who start again. Everything was hers. The name, the mission, the space built from the bricks life had thrown at her. With Ade managing the legal arm and Emeka securing grants, Amara had quietly raised over 70 million Nigerian nairas in seed funding for women-owned startups, trauma counseling, and housing for domestic survivors. Amara, to volunteer no pity narratives. We aren't broken. We're becoming. Across the lobby, a newly installed mural drew attention. It depicted a black woman rising from cracked stone, gold leaf accents highlighting flames at her feet. The caption read, "I wasn't erased. I was waiting to erupt." That afternoon, Amara led a closed session for 10 women, each with stories too painful for daylight. She didn't speak much. She didn't need to. They knew who she was. Her silence had done more healing than sermons. Later, she returned to her home, a new apartment high above the city with floor-to-ceiling windows and no ghosts in the corners. She brewed ginger tea, lit a single sandalwood candle, and opened her laptop. Messages flooded in. "Your story helped me leave a 10-year trap. Because of you, I filed for ownership of the bakery I built with my ex. You helped me become a mother to myself." The line between erasure and elevation blurred until Amara no longer remembered the pain, only the purpose it birthed. Jonas lived in a cramped, one-bedroom flat in Ajijnau, moldy curtains, mismatched furniture, and no AC. He rarely opened the blinds. The only light came from his laptop screen, where he watched Amara's podcast episodes late into the night like forbidden sermons. His job prospects were radioactive. Investors blacklisted him. The real estate firm was absorbed into a rival company for pennies. Jonas, once a keynote speaker, was now reduced to comment sections and memories. One evening, he dressed in his last tailored blazer and took a Kiki Napep to Ikoyi for the Amara Bala Foundation Gala. Not as a guest, he bought a general ticket under a false name, Mr. Kayode Emmanuel. At the event, a string quartet played softly. Candles shimmered along gold-draped tables. Amara took the stage in a royal blue floor-length dress. Her voice, low and calm, carried the weight of survival. "Amara, thank you for believing that a scar isn't shame, it's proof that you stayed." Jonas stood at the very back, clutching a glass of wine he couldn't taste. No one noticed him. That anonymity burned deeper than hatred. When Amara walked through the crowd to greet guests, she passed within 4 feet of him. She paused. Her head tilted, her smile gracious, but impersonal. If she recognized him, she gave no sign. That absence of acknowledgement crushed him. He watched her for 2 more hours, laughing, mentoring, blooming, and left before dessert, his eyes stinging. That night, he whispered to his own reflection, "I lost the only woman who could have saved me." On her birthday, Amara requested no gifts, no celebration. Instead, she booked a private recording session at the studio with only Ade and Emeka present. She unfolded an aged sheet of paper, yellowed, creased, ink-smudged. "Amara, softly, I wrote this to myself the day I left the motel." She clicked record. Amara, reading. "Dear me. I know you're afraid. I know it feels like your bones were scooped out and your name deleted. But stay. Just a little longer. Stay until the tears become tools. Until the silence becomes steel. Until you remember you were never a side note. You were always the title." Her voice wavered, but never broke. "I need you to survive for me. So I can find you again. So I can write this with a steady hand one day. So I can tell you, you didn't lose yourself. You left breadcrumbs through the fire, and you followed them home." She finished and exhaled. Ade stepped forward with quiet pride. This will be your most powerful episode." Emeka nodded. "Let's call it a letter to herself." Within 12 hours, the episode surpassed 2 million listens. The final line became a mantra across Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. "Stay long enough to meet the woman you're becoming." Jonas's inbox dinged. Subject, goodbye. Body. You gave me freedom in the ugliest way. I used it beautifully. No signature. Just that sentence. He read it 10 times. Then he tried to reply. Typed out half a dozen drafts. "I miss you. Please forgive me. Can we meet one last time?" Every draft ended with the same futility. She hadn't left the door open. She'd bricked it shut with grace. He scrolled through her latest post, Amara with young girls at a coding workshop. Laughter, bright colors, purpose. Her eyes carried a new light, one he never gave her. He clicked to her podcast site. A banner flashed. Now streaming in 10 countries. He typed one more sentence, I was wrong. But before he could send it, his screen glitched, his internet disconnected. The message never went through. He sat in silence, the room humming with failure. Meanwhile, Amara stared at the sent folder for a moment. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just closed the laptop and lit a white candle. Amara, to herself, and that is closure. She opened a fresh notebook. Page 1, next book draft, title, erased, then written. 6 months later. The Erased Women podcast won the Global Women's Voice Award in Cape Town. Amara stepped onto a global stage beneath spotlights that remembered names the world once tried to forget. Amara, acceptance speech. They tried to write me out of my own story. But I took the pen. Cut to a montage, set to slow, haunting music. Amara walking past her old home, not stopping. Mrs. Kalu sewing fabric for the foundation's gala. Rena teaching at a public school in Ibadan, humbled and rebuilding. Ade signing papers for 2 new shelters. Jonas, staring at a blank page, unable to write. Final shot, Amara's book launch. She stands in front of a packed audience. Cameras flash. She reads from the final page. I was never erased. I was simply waiting to erupt. And now, I write the world in my own language. The crowd roars. Fade to black. White letters appear. Based on true stories of erased women. Dedicated to every woman told she was too quiet to be powerful. Voiceover, Amara's voice one last time. I wasn't a victim. I was a volcano. And now the world feels the heat. End.